Hi guys, I'm Ahana and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I went from a complete TikTok newbie to hitting over 250,000 views on a video in less than 2 months from starting. If that sounds good to you, then keep on watching. Now let's start with a little bit of context. I'm about 3 years into building my company Clear, and I started my founder journey going through Y Combinator, which is a startup accelerator program based in San Francisco. Now, the Y Combinator mantra is make something people want, which means that they take a very product-focused approach to building companies, and the most important thing is to build a product that people want. And given that YC have been with me really from day one of my founder journey, that product approach was something that I really took on board and something that I've been extremely focused on in most of my time building Clear. What that looks like from a day-to-day perspective is writing code and talking to users. So that's really what I've spent most of the past 3 years doing, building and releasing new features on the app, conducting user interviews, analyzing the metrics, brainstorming ideas and solutions to improve some of our metrics, and then continuously releasing and testing new features and repeating that cycle. Now, doing this alone without proactively seeking out people to download the app, I was able to grow Clear to around 20,000 users, which is amazing. To get 20,000 people to download the app without doing any marketing is something that I'm incredibly proud of. But I had said that I would only start any marketing once I achieve certain retention targets, because the analogy I like to use is that of a leaky bucket. If you have a bucket and there's a leak at the bottom and you're filling it up with more water, it's just going to come straight out if there's a leak that you haven't addressed. So step one is you need to address the leak and patch that. And the analogy when it comes to product development is if you have churn, you need to stop or at least mitigate that. And only then does it make sense to start filling up water into that bucket, or in our case, start marketing. So we'd spoken to investors, we looked at other apps that we admire and saw what their retention levels were, and that's where we set our benchmarks accordingly. And if it'd be helpful to do a whole video on the product development process and actually setting product and retention benchmarks, let me know. I'm happy to make a video about that. But anyway, as of a couple of weeks ago, we very excitingly, after 3 years of being extremely product focused, started achieving some of these pretty ambitious goals that we set out to achieve, which meant that it's time to start getting more users in. Now, there's many ways that you can grow and market a product. You can outsource it to an agency, you can hire a marketing person, but my leadership style is such that I like to try everything myself at least once. And the reason for this is because I think that whether I succeed or fail at the task at hand, in this case it would have been acquiring new users for the app, I will still learn from it no matter what. And let's say worst case scenario, I'm terrible at the job, which is a likely outcome. I'm a technical product focused founder trying marketing for the first time. Even if I'm awful at it, at least I understand the job. And when it comes to either hiring a person in-house or outsourcing this to an agency, I know what some of the common pitfalls are. I understand the job, and I can actually provide more valuable input and be a better manager to whoever actually fills that role. So I had said that I will spend 3 months doing the marketing on my own with no budget. And building the kind of app that I am, I also knew that most of my target audience lives on TikTok. There is a huge market for skincare content on TikTok, and I knew that that was the audience that I was trying to reach. Now, although I am 24 years old, I'm not that old. I'm actually not a TikTok user, and I don't really consume short form video content myself. So approaching TikTok did slightly terrify me, but I also love that with my job, I get to learn about all sorts of things. And the way I see it is there's no other job in which 1 week I'd be having serious conversations with investors, the next I'm deep in our code base, solving technical problems and building new features, and then the next, I'm trying to be a TikTok influencer. So I try to embrace the versatility of the role and dove in headfirst. I created a fresh TikTok account, 0 followers, 0 views, and 0 budget. And despite having no experience with TikTok, not really using the platform personally, I've managed to get a video to over 250k views and numerous other videos in the tens of thousands as well. So I wanted to make this video just to share how I did it and show that this task isn't as daunting as we might expect it to be. So let me walk you through my 5 tips. Tip number 1 is consistency and discipline. And this doesn't just apply to TikTok or marketing, this applies to every aspect of not just your founder journey, but your life. If there's anything you want to get better at, whether it's your work, whether it's your fitness, whether it's your diet, it's about being consistent and showing up. And that's the approach that I took with TikTok. I mentioned in one of my previous videos about a week in the life of a founder that I block 45 minutes every single day to make 3 TikTok videos. And in each of those 15-minute chunks for each video, that involves the ideation process, the actual filming, the editing, creating the thumbnail, the caption, all of that per video. I limit that time to 15 minutes, but I make sure to get it done 3 times a day. And even on the days where I didn't feel like it or I was struggling to come up with ideas, I just forced myself to put something out there. The other benefit of creating such a high volume of content is you speedrun the learning process. If you're putting out, let's say, 1 video a week, it takes you much longer to pick up on what resonates with the audience and what doesn't, because you just have less data to work with. If you put out more videos, you'll start to notice that certain types of content resonate better and get more views and engagement, and then you can double down on that content form. So prioritizing high volume and being consistent is my number 1 tip. My second tip is being vulnerable and authentic. Here on my YouTube channel and on my LinkedIn, which I've been doing for a little bit longer, I'm still pretty vulnerable, except the content is all focused around being a founder and the startup journey. And while I've been able to build a great community of people who want my founder and startup content, that's not necessarily the target market for my company, Clear. So I thought to myself, who is my target user persona and what type of content would they want? And in our case, it's often people who've suffered with skin issues, tried different medications, and are looking for solutions. And that is a community that I myself fall into, having had my own acne struggles and recently been on Accutane. And I saw that being authentic and vulnerable with the career side of my life has shown its benefits. What if I tried doing the same thing except with a totally different side of my life, which is my skin journey? Being real, being authentic, and just showing my skin at its worst, and how my app Clear actually helped me navigate that journey. This is one of the places where being a real user of my app is a total superpower. My third tip is to engage with your audience, no matter how small. I have always made it a point to engage with my audience, whether that's been in my YouTube and LinkedIn comments section, all the way now to my TikTok comments section. What's nice is that I get asked a lot of questions about my acne and Accutane journey, and these questions form the basis of my content ideas. It means that my audience are literally telling me the questions they need answers to. So when it comes to ideating and figuring out what to talk about in my videos, I look to the comments for reference. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of people ask about this topic. Maybe I should answer this question because I already know there's a demand for this kind of content. I think also building those real connections with people makes them want to support you. And ultimately, yes, I did start the TikTok to grow Clear's user base, but also just getting more feedback and connecting with people who are in my space and have been on similar journeys is actually a really beautiful feeling and makes me a better founder also, because by engaging with the people that I'm trying to help for my product, I'm learning so much about the space and what the common problems are and what people in this space really want. My fourth tip is learn as quickly as you can, which is kind of related to the first point I mentioned around discipline and consistency. If you're starting to pick up that certain types of content are doing better than others, double down on what's working. This means that early on you should be experimenting with different content styles. In my case, I experimented with some videos showing before and after pictures of my skin when it was at its worst versus how it is now. I also experimented with showing pictures of my skin in the Clear app at different stages of my Accutane journey. I've also made some educational content around acne and what it's like to go on different medications. I've made content around how to use Clear as part of your Accutane journey. I've made some fitness related content and talked about that in the context of my skin and lifestyle. I made hair related content, also again related to taking medications that dry your hair. So I tried a bunch of different things and I started to see that for me in particular, 2 kinds of videos were getting more traction. The first was more educational, more serious, sit down, talking to the camera style, explaining one part of my acne journey and actually showing my before and afters in that context. Or simply showing the before and after. So keeping a static photo of my skin at its worst and simply just showing a close-up of my skin without any makeup and any filters to show what it looks like now. Now that I've seen that that has kind of worked for me, I've doubled down on that content. And I was able to come to that learning probably in the first 2 to 3 weeks because I was putting out 3 videos a day. And the last point I want to touch on is no budget, no problem. I consulted a lot of marketing experts about my plans and approach to marketing over this next 3-month period, and almost every single one of them was against my no budget approach, which, having never really done marketing myself, I was also a little bit unsure about. But in a way, not having overly slick content has meant that it has felt a lot more authentic, and I've still been able to see success from my videos without having to invest a lot in either the setup or investing in an agency or somebody external to make the content for me. Ultimately, as the founder, I'm the one that lives and breathes this business every day. I tell the story of Clear and I know what resonates with my audience better than any external agency will. Which is not to say that I will never leverage an external agency, but it's more that I believe that I can get to these insights quicker and more effectively than somebody external. And if I were to use someone external or hire in for the role, I already have the data to show what tends to work, what tends to resonate, and what doesn't, and I can brief them better on how they can support and create content that will also help in Clear's growth journey. So those are my 5 tips of how I got started on TikTok from a completely fresh account, from 0 followers and 0 views to over 250,000 views on a single video in less than 2 months. I'm actually really pleased with the results and excited to continue learning about this totally new area of the business. And that's where I'm going to leave this video. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content just like this, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Alright, so that's all for this one. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.